happening. We
So
are doing
excited.
the Generations show that you came up with like weeks and weeks ago, and we never could make it happen. And tonight we're making it happen. I'm so
I'm so
excited.
happy.
I'm
It should
so
be fun.
happy.
We
Can you
need the
tell?
audience to jump
Yeah.
in too.
Oh yeah. People are coming in. Talk a little bit about why you want to do the show. What was your impetus? What was your thought? You always have the best ideas for shows.
So this one came about because LindaRose likes to point out everything I do that's old, that makes me old. Words I use, how I pronounce things wrong. We were in the mall one day and I pronounced the store wrong. I'm sure she's going to let you know which one, so I'll leave it to her. But yeah, it's hilarious. And then I get on her because I'm like, oh, well, we didn't have that, and da da
Mhm.
da da da, So we just go back and forth. And one day watching Patty's show or something, or talking to Sandie, and they did something similar, and I was like, we
Yep.
have to do this.
We have to do
We
it. It's so
have to do
exciting.
it.
I know. And we have the best people here to do it with. This
It's
is like
gonna be
really
great.
exciting. We have
Yes.
we have everybody represented. So let's bring on
I'm gonna pull this.
another. This is your. I'll just say this. I always said I'm a cusper, and I am, right? Because I'm technically a millennial, because you found the years for everything, and technically I'm a millennial, but it just started my year. And of course, my
You're
older
gonna
brother
blend.
was and my older brother was Gen X, and all of my friends were Gen X. And like, I feel like a Gen Xer, but I'm just a little more positive. You know, they say millennials are a little bit more positive, optimistic. So I'm like a Gen Xer
Yeah.
without the biggest chip on my shoulder. That's what
I'm
I
all
think.
Gen X. There ain't nothing about me that's not Gen X.
I know, it's so great. And then we have another Gen Xer. Let's bring her up. Everyone knows and loves the glamorous and beautiful Sandie Dee.
Hey,
Oh my
Sandy.
gosh. Hi. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Excited.
And we have our
See?
little
We knew this
M had
had
us
to
put on our
happen, right?
taglines
Sorry, I'm
what we
trying to wait so
are.
I can
And
read comments.
yeah, you're wait, you're getting hidden by the let me do I'll
I
say
know, because I
it.
stood up, because I don't know. We'll figure it
Okay.
out.
So we
I
have
can shrink
two
those down if you remember
to write what down?
after the overlays.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Yes, we will. Okay, so talk a little bit for just a second before we have two different generations represented that are not in. But first, I want to hear from the Gen Xers. How would you describe Gen X? M go first. No, Sandie go first, and then M go second. So, Sandie, what's your idea of a Gen Xer?
Gen X, to me, is you come home when the street lights go on. You come home for dinner when the street lights go on. After the street lights go out, it's considered the vampire hour.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, you play outside all day, no computers, dial phones. You know, we only had the circular dial. We didn't have the push button until when I was older. So, yeah, you play outside all day, drink from the hose when you're thirsty.
Yep, yep, yep.
Um, Go to the 5 and 10 store and want everything in the store, but you have to pick like one thing. And everyone gets their Halloween costumes from the 5 and 10 store. So on Halloween, everyone's wearing like the same costume.
Or you had the whole pillowcase or sheet over your head and you cut the hose out.
Oh yeah, they just cut the holes out. Yep.
Or the plastic masks that nobody could breathe in.
Yeah, the plastic. Yeah, that's what I mean. They came in like a plastic
Elastic.
There's
bag,
a
like all
smell to it
flattened out,
too. There's
and
a
then
smell
just
to
like
it.
a plastic suit with a mask.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. Yeah. I mean, listen, Gen X was you don't you're not even don't even pretend you're going to join a conversation with the adults because you're not even going to be in the same zip code when they're having a conversation. Like
Yep.
you are a
Kitty
million miles
table.
away.
Kitty table.
And when the soap operas are on, you best not speak or breathe. Cartoons are only on Saturday morning, so you better behave because if you miss it, you got to wait a whole week. If you lose your cartoons on Saturday, you're not going to see them for another week.
There's no YouTube, that's for
No
sure.
YouTube, no rewind.
Brady Bunch.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Probably 75% of what we learned in school has now been overturned and found out to not be true. I'm starting to believe half my schooling I could have just gone without, waited till now. There's so many differences though. I mean, we didn't have 24-hour news. Latchkey kids, we were called the latchkey kids.
Yep. Walking home
We
into
all came
school,
home.
walking everywhere. You walk everywhere.
Yep.
We all came home
Walk
to an empty
everywhere.
house.
And usually
most part.
the deli guys, they know the kids and oh, okay, just tell your mom to pay me next week. Like if you
Yeah, like
went to the store to buy you something for your parents, you didn't have enough money. They had like your deli guy had like notes. Don't worry, I'll tell your mom when I see her.
Yeah. Oh, you're picking up cigarettes for your grandmother? I'll write it down. She can pay me when she comes in.
Yeah, they had notes and you could pay them like you tell your mom to pay them like and she would pay her tab.
I'm going to make it dark for a second though, because around the time when you guys were young is when all of like the abductions and like the serial killers and were in the psyche, right? So
Mhm.
Yeah, but
you
we
were-
didn't know about a lot of it because
you didn't know about a lot of, because by the time I came around, that was like a thing, like in the 80s, like buddy system, like don't take candy from
Yeah.
strangers. If a van pulls up, like I was terrified.
I mean, we
of what I
learned
was-
that stuff, stranger danger and all that, but we didn't
Mhm.
get the news. Like I heard my local news, and then there were 30 minutes at the end of the night for world news. So you didn't hear every single story. I mean, it had to be a huge story for it to come across our world news. Like we didn't. We
Right.
had 30 minutes. 30 minutes for your regular news, and then it was like 6 o'clock was the news local,
Mhm.
and then 6:30 was the world news. If you didn't get it, you had to wait till 11. And of course,
Saturday
we were kids,
Saturday
we
Night
didn't watch the
Live.
news.
Oh yes,
Saturday Night Live.
was-
I grew up on Saturday Night Live, and what's the other one? My mom could tell you.
Oh, I don't remember.
Gosh, I can't think. It's like
Let's
a British.
let's bring your mom on then. Let's bring your
Yeah.
mom on. I feel like Jerry Springer right now. Well,
British
guess who
one.
we have? We have your mother.
I mean, I listened to the radio way more than I ever watched
Hey.
TV.
Hello.
Hi,
Hi,
Patti.
honey.
Hi.
Hi. Are you talking about Monty Python?
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
Yeah.
see,
Monty
now I would have said the Electric Company and Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers.
Captain Kangaroo.
You
Oh,
aren't
yeah.
supposed.
Zoom,
You
zoom,
weren't
zoom.
supposed
Do
to
you
be
remember that one?
Captain Kangaroo. Oh yes, yes. I remember when
love
color
it.
TV became a thing.
Wow.
See?
It
We
was.
didn't have cable or HBO or nothing. That didn't come around until I was much older. I was probably at high school by the time especially in my house because it was expensive. So not everybody got it.
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
the box that used to attach to the TV with the long wire cord? Do you remember that? Did you have that one?
The
The
rabbit
cable
ears.
box?
The
No,
tinfoil.
cable
We used
box.
to put tinfoil on the antenna.
We used
Oh,
to do
yeah.
that
On
too.
it.
And then like your dad or someone would have to like go up on the roof. Remember that with like
Oh yeah, with the big antenna.
I remember
then you have to
fighting
yell
with
up
that
to 'em,
thing
like,
that went
"Look."
like this thing.
yeah, and you go like and you're yelling. You're like, no, don't do it the other way. Do the
And
opposite.
then
of what
if
you're
something
doing.
important was on the news and you were holding the rabbit ears and you got it, your father would go, just stay right there.
Just
Just
stay
stay
don't
there.
move.
Don't move.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Picking up on your frequencies. Don't move.
It was the in my day it was the children's job to change the channel
I was
for the
just gonna
grown up.
Yeah,
Um,
remote control, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there were no we had kids. So whoever was closest, or the youngest, we'd shove out to be the channel changer for mom or dad.
Mhm.
Um,
That's
and
awesome.
and then the pecking order came in, that was very important because the older you were, the more shows you got to watch.
Ooh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
memory of what Grandpa used to make me do. I remember Grandpa. He was in the Navy.
Uh-huh.
I was his first grandkid. You blessed him with his first grandchild.
with Sandie.
And I remember he used to make me give him a kiss. He was making me get him the ashtray. I would bring it over to the coffee table and set it down for him. And then like his lighter. Sandy, go get me this. Sandy, go get me that. And get like the remote. There was like, I'd have to bring him the ashtray, the lighter, and the remote. And then he would make me kiss him on his cheek, and he always had stubbles. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I'd be like this, but because he spoiled me. I loved my grandpa. I was a grandpa's girl.
Yes, he was very attached to you. You were very attached to him, for sure. He could quiet you down when nobody else could.
Such a different time.
Yeah.
But people will say, oh, I listen to people talk and they're like, you know, people don't have as much quality time now together. They're so busy and they're on like phones and internet. And I'm thinking, listen, the only quality time in my house was immediately after dinner. And then we went to bed. Like we weren't in the house. We weren't in the house. And if we were, we certainly weren't with the adults.
That's
Like,
right.
we didn't, yeah.
Nor
At
did you
all.
want to be.
No,
You didn't want to be because they would find things for you to do.
exactly. Oh, if you're
I
just going to
remember-
stand here, you can do this. If you're just going to sit here, you can do that.
Well, what about also like being able to talk to adults about personal things like your health or getting, you know, or sexuality or politics? Like, would you ever be welcome?
Look at us all shaking our head no.
You're
No,
not allowed, right? You have
I
to.
was very lucky that my grandmother on my mother's side would talk to me about anything. And she was born in 1898. And she actually had and used birth control.
Nice. Yeah.
So, you know, back then, huh? She had a diaphragm.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
right.
say-
Wow, Mom, you're going in deep right now. You're
Oh,
going
I'm
for
sorry.
it.
Yeah, right?
You're
I
like
mean, that's like
surfing 25-foot waves, Mom, right now.
I couldn't talk to your grandmother, my mother, about anything. She said,
Yeah.
well, you know, I learned everything on the street, and that's where you should learn it.
Yeah.
Wait,
And we also got
Wait.
listen, why are you coming to me? Your cousin's right there who's 16 or something like that. You're like, okay.
who knew
Okay.
nothing either? Who knew?
Yeah.
You know, there was so much phony information and false information out there. It was terrifying, actually.
Yeah.
You know,
But I mean, but our parents weren't horrible people. They were 100 times better than their parents, but we teach what we know and what we learned. We couldn't expect them to jump. I hear millennials all the time bopping on boomers or Gen X, but it's like, we did the best we could with the tools we gave, and we did better. Each generation is getting better at learning certain things, right? And doing certain things differently.
yeah, and I think there's
And
there's more similarities than we give it credit for.
oh yes,
You know, I sometimes find myself defending different generations because of the stereotypes, and I say, well, that's not my experience. You know, with my kids or their friends, or you know, they'll say, oh, that generation is just so selfish. Well, they said the same thing about us.
oh yeah.
You know, we were the baby boomers. We grew up, you know, supposedly having everything.
What about rock and roll and counterculture movements like living through feminism, desegregation, civil rights movement? What was that? Oh, anti-war movement?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was, you know, well, first of all, we grew up like with the Jetsons and not Star Wars. What's the other one? Space? No. Star Trek. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so, you know, we grew up with shows that had us thinking towards the future. And then, of course, we landed on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember standing outside of an apartment building, and it was summer. And, of course, all the windows were open because nobody had air conditioning. And that was all you heard. It was like surround sound everywhere because everybody had their TV watching the moon landing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole feminism thing, you know, Sandie's generation, we were kind of taught that everything was unisex, and you know, that there was no real difference, and that was the first time that boys could play with dolls and girls could play with trucks, and it was kind of, you know, accepted and okay. And girls didn't always have to be in dresses. Although Miss
I want
Sandie,
to say that I think that Tom in the generation Gen X, it did become way more acceptable for girls to be less feminine and more, it was okay to be a tomboy and play baseball and what have you. I do think
yeah,
it was still hard for more effeminate males though. I remember
oh
in high
yeah,
school, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
but for girls, it definitely, I mean, I grew up in jeans and a t-shirt, you know, playing sports. So,
yeah. I grew up
but
in
for
the, you
men,
know,
I think it's harder.
the cutoff jeans. The boys were wearing the
Mm,
cutoff jeans and the long hair and the muscle t-shirts.
yeah.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
What about the
It was a good time to be alive. They're all good times to be alive. They all have their benefits and their downers. I mean,
They
nothing's
do.
perfect.
What about the concept of race? You know, we've had such an evolution, and like we're going to bring LR on soon, but there's such an evolution of, um, you know, segregation. It was like separate but equal, and then Martin Luther King was like, "Don't judge somebody by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character." You know, now we're saying, don't say you're colorblind. You know, say that you see the color, and that we understand white privilege. It's
Mhm.
it's a change, right?
This
It's
is those confusing things that I talk about when people down another generation
yeah.
because they down my generation for not being using particular terms like
Right.
saying
Exactly.
something like I don't see the color. But I
Well,
was raised
we weren't
and
allowed to use calculators. That was like the
yeah,
new, you
right.
know, how are you going to do math if you use a calculator? You know, so they weren't allowed in schools. They weren't,
Yeah.
big changes. My mom had to make her own graduation dress in order to be able to graduate from 8th grade.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it was public school was very domestic.
It
And
was
even when
also
I was in,
different when you talk about race too, Renee, it was different in the sense that where I grew up in the state of Maine, the
right,
entire time I was in school, there was one African American person.
okay,
Wow.
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
so it, th- thankfully for me, my parents had a very diverse friends group. Alana and I have talked about this a lot. So I was able to be exposed to other cultures, other races, you know what I mean? But in my school and my area, and I didn't grow up with, I mean, we had very little. So it wasn't even an affluent, you know,
yeah.
area.
I think it
But
depends on where you grew up. You know, I'm
Maine
living in
didn't
the
have a
South
lot,
here,
Maine just didn't
and
have a big population.
it's very different than New York City. You know, I grew up in New York, which was the melting pot. So,
Right.
you know, we had everybody.
And
And
let's face it, these families weren't moving in the early 80s to areas that didn't have a large population of their culture or race because what would have happened? They were afraid that they would be shunned and they wouldn't get what they needed and their kids wouldn't have, so of course they were going and moving to places where they had other people like them, right?
Well, also you had white
Now
flight
we're like, what do you
anyways,
mean like you? Like we're all we have
well,
grown and learned. And
but
my
you had
parents,
white flight anyways. Whenever they would try to get into a
that's what
white
I mean.
neighborhood, all of the white people would flee.
I
And
mean, I never knew that or saw it because, like I said, I did not have a lot. They,
yeah,
not that thankfully, my parents exposed to us to so many, like they had a huge, diverse friend group. So,
right, right.
and I mean, my dad was in Vietnam. A lot of his really good friends were all different races and nationalities and religions. So, from
Yeah, I think that
I was
you know,
exposed
the
to that.
exposure that we have now is so international. Like you were saying before about
Yeah.
how you have information, instant information from national news, and you have it 24 hours a day. And so, you know, we have, when I was growing up, nobody flew on a plane unless you were, you know, really rich, and you know, you had to dress up. You wore gloves and that kind of thing. And now it's like public transportation, and it's, you know, you can get anywhere in the world.
Well, you used to walk through the cemetery in the snow every day, back and forth to and from school in a skirt in the wintertime when it's like 10 below.
Yeah, well, it wasn't 10 below, but it was certainly single digits. I
But
think
you
I
didn't think
preferred the
nothing of it because
cemetery.
it's the way it was, right? Like when you're in it, you're like, everybody's like, how'd you do it? It's like, what do you mean how? Like, that's the way it was. Like, we didn't
Yeah,
imagine all the stuff there is today. Like, it just, that's how it was. You did what you had to do, or what you were
yeah,
told to do.
yeah,
It,
yeah.
it's
And I think, you know,
so different.
there wasn't as much parent involvement,
Yes.
you know, so
And there was no such thing as divorce either. Nobody, but divorce was not
Yeah,
acceptable
no.
when you were a kid growing up. You,
Well, you
if you
stayed,
were
you
if
stayed,
you were
right?
going through a divorce, everybody on the block would be talking about you and your kids.
well, economically, it was really hard because I couldn't get a mortgage. I couldn't get a credit card
We had
in my
talked
own
about
name.
this.
I had to.
Yeah.
I even had the experience once of going to the bank, and my name was on the account along with my husband's, and they wouldn't let me take money out of it. The bank manager made me go home and get him,
Yeah.
and he had to come up and tell him it was okay to access my own money.
People don't understand that. I was saying, like, I was born in 70. Our generation, Gen X, is the first generation where women could, through the whole period of Gen X, from the first year it started till the last, where women could actually have their own bank accounts and write checks. And I can remember when my mom couldn't even have her name on the bank. I remember when my mother could get her name on the bank account, and I was very, very little. And she was like, let's go, I can do it, you know, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
cashing my dad's checks, and she'd have to have a note from my dad. Can you imagine having to have your husband write you a note so you could cash a check?
And
Like
yet your
we
kids could go
forget.
up and get you cigarettes.
Yeah, exactly. Like the kid,
That's what somebody
this is
was
the
saying in the
problem.
comments, Renee, that I saw one of the comments said you had to write a note for your parents to buy the cigarettes to the.
I don't even think you needed a note. I think you just, you know, cigarettes and dog food, right?
Just give me
Butter,
the cigarettes and dog.
a loaf of bread,
Yeah,
a
half a stick of butter.
a
Half
gallon
a
of
stick of butter.
Yeah.
half a stick
This
of
is
butter.
this is what I was saying about so like millennials or Gen Z, when they down the generation before them, when Gen Z downs millennials, millennials down Gen X downs boomers, they forget. They think, like most, even you guys, when I said my mother, you were like, wow, I never thought about that. It was that it was that soon. It wasn't hundreds and hundreds of years ago
Yeah,
that African Americans couldn't go to the public high school. It was
right.
like
Oh, I remember.
a
I
generation
remember.
before me. You know what I'm saying? Like it was one generation to degree from our
Mhm.
generation. It was her generation.
Right,
So
right.
even it's not as far off in history. It wasn't during the dinosaurs. Do you know what I'm saying?
No,
They,
it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, you know, I remember it.
yeah.
I remember the sitting at the lunch counter and the killings and the lynchings, and I remember that. You know, and being the South being forced to let children of color come in, and that, you know, yeah, I think, you know, it seems to be accelerating fast. So I think about my grandchildren, and you know, I was having this conversation the other day, and my generation does not want things to change. You know, I say, you know, it's because that just means we're getting closer to leaving. But for if you think about the kids with AI, artificial intelligence, what is that going to be like for them and their children? What's it going to be like in 200 years?
I
You
can't
know?
even imagine.
So no, you can't. And my experience with my
You know,
youngest
now
daughter,
you're tapping into, and you and M could have a whole show on AI and Renee, because
I'm
they've been
obsessed.
talking about this on their shows. Like, M knows. M's like, no, she knows.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
obsessed.
excited about it. I mean, there
I am
definitely are
too.
pitfalls, but we just don't know what we don't know. We just don't know yet what it's
We
going to
don't.
mean.
And the other thing
Um,
is, we just have to educate ourselves. You can't expect somebody who spent the first 50 years of their life being taught something else, day in and day out and day in and day out, to just all of a sudden, because it's changing, that they're just going to change their whole mindset. It takes time to learn and
Yeah.
understand and change those behaviors and stop saying the things. Like, we all say things in a worded way that we probably shouldn't because it's not politically correct. The problem is that's how we learned it. It was ingrained in us for
Mhm.
most of our life. So we have to relearn that, and that takes time. It takes immersion. It takes the effort to go out and travel and meet people and do different things and experience different cultures and just educate yourself. We
well,
just got to be a little easier on each other and teach each other instead of just downing each other all the time.
I see this, because I live in a retirement community of like 140 something thousand people. So I kind of feel like we're a big experiment. And so I have my art group, and it's really funny because none of us can, somebody will bring up like a movie, an old time movie, and an actor's name, and we all know who we're talking about, but nobody can remember the name. So out come the phones. There is not one person that I know in my age group and up who does not know how to use a cell phone to research. Like, it's
Right.
secondhand. That's secondhand.
I
Right.
can't even think of anybody in my life that's under, I'd say, I'll just say 16 just to throw out a number, but I can't picture anybody in my life that's 16 and older that doesn't have a phone.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Well, I'm in the group, of 16
Right.
above. I mean, I have friends that are in
Yeah.
their 80s and 90s, and we don't, everybody has their phone.
It'll be
Um,
interesting to see what LindaRose has to say too.
Yeah, so yeah, her screen is still black, so I don't know if
oh,
she's ready to come on.
Oh,
Should I just bring her
she
on?
wasn't. She was in the comments.
Is
Let
she in
me
the
check.
is
Call
she
her
in
to her. Can you
Um,
see her?
she's logged out. She's not backstage right now. Maybe she can go out and come back in. I don't know. That's why I haven't been bringing her up because it was all black, so I thought she was
I messaged her. We'll see if she gets it.
okay.
Um,
I
she
didn't
was
know
in the
she was
comments though.
commenting.
Maybe not. It looks
we
like she
all
wasn't there.
learn from her, so like we're just waiting to
I
be.
know. We
We're
got
I
just
something
know.
new
waiting
that we
for
need.
We need
her.
to be schooled and updated on everything.
Yeah,
She's
because
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah.
because one of the things I want to talk about, because we have three different generations here, and then we'll have four when she comes on. Like being a girl, what your expectations were for your future, different by generation. By the time they got to me, or maybe it was just also my mother, I don't really know, but I honestly felt I could do anything a man could do, not biologically, but I mean, I thought, if I wanted to be president, I could be president. I wanted to be a lawyer, I could be a lawyer. I really did feel that. What was that like in y'all's generations?
Sam, what was that like for you?
I feel pressure.
Well, don't
Um,
I?
I mean, we didn't have car seats. My friends, there was some kids up the street from Aunt Laura and Uncle Ed's house. We could hear the boys. They had two boys. We could hear them getting beaten on by a belt daily by their dad. And we played on the street. And I mean, I have like a lot of messed up memories. I have girlfriends that were like, you know, attempted abducted while they're walking home from my house, from visiting me to hang out with me for the day. Just we used to, everybody would walk everywhere, and then
Yeah.
crazy things. Sometimes you'd hear later that all the crazy things that happened, you know? So,
I
I
think you
mean,
were
I grew
talking
up in New
earlier.
York, so I don't expect everyone to have my experience because I know
Right.
I grew up in a tough place. The mafia was strong back then. There was bodies washing up at the beach down the street from me all the time, and there's on the news hands showing up. I mean, like I just grew up in a different time and
But you
in a
know
different
what?
place. I don't expect anyone to understand the way I grew up. Because most people, to them, that's not normal growing up.
But
But
did
to
you
me,
think
that was
anything
my
was
normal.
possible?
Here's the thing though, Sam. Every one of your uncles, my 4 brothers, were accosted, attempted, male abduction, rape. Every one of them. But nobody talked about it.
Right.
You don't
You
talk
know,
about it back then. Yeah,
so
no.
I think that a lot of it has come out of the closet where it's okay to say that. So, so it's not just the Me Too movement has been great. Because it was kind of, you could hear statistics and stuff, but women couldn't accuse their husbands of raping them.
Yeah.
It's still not a legal defense in some places right now.
Mhm.
How many
That's
women are
sad.
in jail for being trafficked?
LindaRose should be all set, by the way, Ray.
Okay, LindaRose. Let's bring up LindaRose to weigh
Yay.
in.
So when you're asking,
Thanks
I'll
for
talk
Ben.
while you're pulling her up. I did not feel like I could just, I heard we don't have the money when it came to like college and stuff like that. So I never even thought I would be able to do what I wanted to do. Then I
Right.
got out of high school and I got married. And I did college and finished it, but it was a
Yeah.
different time. And my
If
mother's
you went to
era, like,
college, you went to find a husband, and you gave
I
up.
already had that, luckily. But yeah,
I'm
it was just
serious.
it was different. And then my sister, she went to college because her work put her through college. But then by the time my brother came around, he was born, he's a little over 5 years younger than I am. He was planned his whole high school he was going to college. So that's when the switch started changing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But early 70s, no, we were not ever made to feel like we could be president or do anything. And again, it wasn't our parents' fault. There was no money. Like they were trying to do the best in saying, don't set your things so high that you're always failing because you're not going to be able to pay for it or reach it, right? Like, so there was that line, and I get it. But I mean, I'm 50 something years old. Yeah, I get it now. I didn't when I was a kid.
Right.
I resented it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
LindaRose, were you able to hear most of what we were talking about earlier? Do you want to weigh in about how different your experience has been and what's been similar about your experience?
Yeah. Also, sorry about the whole camera thing that happened.
Oh, that's
I
okay.
shut off my camera because if you guys don't know, I'm sick right now. I had to shut off
Oh.
my camera because I wasn't actually dying, but like that's another thing my generation says, like the most minor inconvenience when they say we're dying, but I was literally dying, like coughing, and then my camera just decided they want to turn back on, so I kind of gave up and reset the whole thing. But yeah, no, there's so many stories I hear. Like at the beginning, there's so many stories I hear about and her generation because I always ask because I'm super interested in all the history and stuff's my favorite subject. And like I just want to rewind to the beginning where said she pronounced the store name wrong. It was
I knew she was going to do that.
the store was Lululemon and she called it Lululemon. Like,
How
Fancy.
cute. I love it.
no sense because it looks
Here's
I
the
love
thing,
that.
though. That particular trait is hereditary.
like
So you know, it's hereditary. It's coming.
she said
I'm just extra, that's all.
You're
Yes.
extra, MM.
Well,
you
my
are
first
extra.
We
thought
love
was,
you.
like,
Just I love
I'm
it.
shopping at Lululemon. You can shop at Lululemon.
like my
if you
first
want.
thought was I
Lululemon.
literally asked her if she was like valedictorian of her class or something because that's something that a valedictorian would say. They'd be like, and then my entire senior class went shopping at Lululemon after like valedictorian speech, and I was like, okay,
That store is expensive.
it is. I don't shop there.
It
I
should
shop
be
at
called
Mexico.
Lululemon.
Expensive. You need to get I need to get a job there so I could afford to buy the clothes.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick to Goodwill. It's my home actually.
Linda
But
always loves
no.
thrift stores.
Yeah, but no, there's so many things that
They
I
do make
know
your butt look good though, right, Linda?
they
They make
do.
your
They
butt, the
definitely
shorts,
do.
the way that they cut the clothing is like it makes your butt
Yeah,
look good. And like
yeah, it's
that's
just about look
kind of
good.
like the goal.
Yeah, like on the back of the pants to make your butt look good, they scrunch it. So like it's like it's sorry, this is like a little like out of there, but it's kind of like it's like a thong. Like they make it tinier, so you have to literally like hike it up your butt to make it like look good.
Well, here's the thing. I want to talk about fashion has
I'm
changed
sure it has
because
nothing to do with having a 15-year-old ass compared to having a 50-something-year-old ass.
No, I swear.
the fashions have changed. Like, and that's an example of it because like
Yeah.
back in the day, it was like the waif look, you know what I mean? And
Oh,
now
God forbid, we didn't want a big butt. That was the last thing we ever wanted.
people could
No.
insult women by saying, "Oh, you have a big butt" or whatever. Now you want a huge butt, and then like you want like big lips. Like now they do like lip infusions. But back in the day, like thin lips were in. It's just like everything is different. They just changed all of the standards.
Yeah, and to add on to that, like back in your guys' day, like MM said, like you guys didn't want a big butt, but like also at the same time with the place that the world is in now, I see so many people on TikTok that are getting like that are literally like getting like do you know
Implants.
like no like they're literally getting their implants removed or like getting some like trying to make their butts tinier because of like all of like the catcalling and stuff that goes on now. Like some people genuinely don't want like big butts or big boobs anymore because of the amount of catcalling. But at the same time, you have girls that want them, and then you have another side of girls that just don't. So like that's a huge thing. Like and like all the fashion and like and the reason everybody got like a big like got like big butts and big boobs is because of the Kardashian show and all the
Right.
Jenners.
That's what I was gonna say, Linda. I
That's what
was gonna
started
say,
it.
Standard, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I
what
was
started
gonna
it.
say, Linda, because
Like
now it's like your generation is those Bratz dolls. You know the Bratz dolls?
I
They have
love
like
Bratz
the
dolls. I
waist.
used to have so many of
They
them.
yeah, they're not my generation. They're your generation. They have the waist like this. They're tall. They have like the perfect everything up, and they wear these cute outfits and like.
But what about Barbie?
Well, yeah, we had Barbie. My generation, I had Barbie.
Yep.
Yeah. And
But
like
the
remember that-
Bratz kind of like amplified that and like
Yeah.
made your waist go even smaller than Barbie.
Yeah, and their lips were super big. And me and my dad were talking about this a few days ago, actually, about the song that's called "I Like Big Butts." You know
Yep.
that song? It's like I like big butts and I cannot lie. Yeah,
They're
like
mix-a-lots.
that song. When the time that song was
They're
made,
mixed a lot.
yeah, when the time that song was made, like big butts were not really like a thing.
Yeah.
I
And
grew
that
up
song
on
just,
that
like-
song.
That song just like changed it. It's like a great song. I love that song. I jam out. It's
I
like my
can't
car
believe
jam.
you know it.
I
My
didn't know
Aunt
that you knew
Nana
that
don't
song.
want none.
I got big.
Unless you got
But can I
buns.
just say that
Other brothers
a
cute.
lot of these changes that are being made
Mom's dancing.
are because of the merging of different cultures,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like we're merging different cultures.
Yeah.
Listen, this is not going to be the same as a beautiful tropical princess or an African queen. Like we're all have all cultures and races bring different things to the
Yeah.
table, and we're starting to merge them into a big old melting pot, and it's beautiful. But for some women
Well,
and men
and there
too, but
weren't so
mostly
many.
women, they want to change, right? They want to everybody
I
wants to
think
fit in, but the thing is right now there's no fit in. It's all about be yourself and be strong and what
because
you
there's so
want,
many choices now. We didn't have
right?
all those choices years ago. You didn't.
Right.
You know, there weren't that many materials available. You know, you had a couple of outfits. That was it.
Yeah. And like
And
another
now you can wear anything.
yeah. And like another thing is, this is my personal opinion, there should be a little bit of an I feel like some younger girls or like younger than me are wearing more like provocative stuff than I wear. And it's kind of shocking. Cause like I am not like I'm a teenage girl. I dress like a teenage girl. But and like we were talking about this before the show, like my room's a mess right now, and I just don't care because I'm a teenage girl in a teenage room. Like, and another thing is like I see girls that are younger than me, like 9 or 10, that wear more provocative clothing than I do, and it's like,
But in their defense,
it's
have you
shocking.
seen what's available for infants?
It's like,
You know, I try to go out and buy clothes for infants, and they're sexualized.
yeah, it's like,
You know, and so I end up sticking my hands in there trying to find something that's comfortable, that doesn't have all this things that are going to, you know, scrape along an infant's
Yeah.
body and stuff. And then the toddlers, it's the same, it just keeps going.
like,
So when they see this out there,
yeah, it's like, I get understand, like, if you want your kid to, like, if your kid's a baby wearing a crop top, like a newborn baby wearing a crop top and tiny shorts, like, in my opinion, you should wait until your kid's around, like, 12 or 13 when they can start making their own choices for their own clothing. Because, like, at that time, you're choosing your own kid's clothing. Although my dad just let me choose all my clothes.
Well, Linda, you would get along with my mom on that level, because my mom has always been like, when I was a kid, she was like, all my friends had pierced ears, and I was like, please, can I have my ears pierced? Please, can I have my ears pierced? And my mom's like, I want you to be old enough to really make that clear decision. And I just don't, I'm not sure that you're old enough yet. But once you're old enough, then you can make that decision for yourself, because that's something you got to live with for the rest of your life. Like if you get any piercing, tattoo, anything, and that was my mom was like, just wait till you're old enough to like think a little bit clearer, like have a better grip like on life.
My dad's general rule was I had to wait until I got my period. That was his rule. Once I got my period, I was old enough to make my decisions. I got my ears pierced.
my father wasn't allowed to know about those things. What?
My goodness. Exactly, right?
My dad.
But she's being raised by her dad, and he's fantastic with her. He
like
will talk to her about anything.
I have to warn my dad, because I have a whole entire period chart. I have to warn my dad a few days before, just to let him know that I'm gonna be in the mood. He'll get.
That's pretty respectful, actually. I think that's like really respectful and like brave.
Talking about periods. Okay, we were not allowed to talk about it. Yep. We were not allowed to miss school because
no time off.
We
for
were
the
not
period.
allowed to whine.
Renee.
No time off.
Yeah, there would be no.
I would have to go to the sewing
Suck it up. Everybody else has one. You're not the only woman in the world, right?
Yeah, like a big thing that I don't like now is how periods aren't normalized. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like I go around the school, like when I need to do something for myself for my period, I don't care. Like a lot of girls will hide their tampon in their sleeve, something like that. I walk around just holding it, like I literally just walk out.
Put it in the sack.
Come on my hand.
Get in your sack.
Yeah, like I literally just hold it in my hand. Like I hate how periods aren't normalized, because a lot of little girls they're I feel like they're scared to go to the nurse because they need a new tampon or a pad, and I hate that because there are some boys that judge girls by it, and I absolutely hate that because why?
Oh yeah, they're so mean.
Why are you judging? Try and be in my shoes.
Because it makes you uncomfortable because we're not allowed to talk about it.
See, that's one thing that's never changed. That's never changed over the generations, because if you have a pimple, it was the kids would treat you the same way just for one little pimple at school. Mm-hmm. It was the same feeling. So that's never changed I think over the generations. Can we agree? Can we?
Yeah. And that's why
LindaRose's generation is changing it. She don't care.
Yeah, I'm making the change. That. I literally walk around with it. I don't care. What are they gonna do? Laugh at me for having a period? Okay, try and be in my shoes for a week. Try and having cramps. I'd love to see you try and go to bed.
They could not handle the level of pain and the mood swings and the bloating and the cravings. It's a whole thing. It's not just the period.
Even beyond the period, back when I was a kid.
Are we losing viewers, Renee?
No, we're not losing viewers.
I know.
We're gaining.
God forbid that your bra strap show or your underwear show or
no shoulder. We can't
be horrified. And then when Donna came out.
Yeah, that changed a lot. Yeah.
And oh my God. Accessories, wearing shirts with just the bra under them. I mean, I couldn't do that. My father would not let me. Yeah, no, but I could see it.
Well, here's the thing too. We're talking about women. So many men started being, when Sandie was born, men were not allowed in delivery.
Yeah.
Right. You went in by yourself and that was it. You didn't have your mother. You didn't have anybody. By the time Tom was born, which is 14 years later, Dad was allowed in the delivery. My brother had been in delivery with 4 or 5 of his kids, I think.
But that's because he had a midwife.
Well, the first 2 were born in a hospital. So I really saw how it empowered men to be a part of children's lives in a way that they hadn't been, and having access and it being okay for
And
them.
it's like, it's the same thing I was saying about changing and growing. We have to give these generations a chance to change and grow.
Yeah.
Men, I hear them say, well, he could have just done it. No, they couldn't. It was socially unacceptable. It was not okay. Men did not go in.
Yeah,
Period.
if you look at the
If you
old
said to the doctor, "Oh, I'm going to go in," they would be like, "No, no men allowed." Like, it wasn't
Right.
allowed. You can't just
Right.
change things.
And when a father is there at birth, there's a connection that goes on, which is similar to the one that goes on with the
Mom's
mom.
throwing stuff at me over here. My mother is throwing stuff at me.
hi, Mom.
Threw that at me.
Hi, Mom.
I said hi.
Can she say hi or no?
She said hi.
Well, yeah, I mean, fathers are now even doing skin to skin,
Yes.
They're
Oh,
kangaroo
yeah.
care. They're doing kangaroo care. And they're finding
Yeah.
out that the baby
It's very
being able
important.
to regulate with the male heartbeat and the immune system of the man, the kisses with the saliva, it's like a double blast of immunity and protection. And it's just, intelligence too, because you're surrounded. It's almost like you have the 2 different bodies, the 2 different immune systems, the 2 different heartbeats that you're regulating. And I mean, it's really much better medically, like what you were talking about too, for a baby to have the father involved.
It's beautiful. I mean,
It is.
Yeah.
let's face it.
I think
There's
it's a great
such
change.
beauty
Mhm.
in what's happening as far as like male and female roles, parenting, working, everything is coming to where it's going to be like centered, right? Which is wonderful. But there's also some pressure in that because not everybody can do everything. Like, not everybody's going to be great with infants, right? Not
Mhm.
everybody's going to be great with toddlers. Not everybody's going to be great.
Mhm.
So I think it's good that we still find each other's strengths when we find that balance. You cannot just expect somebody to do everything that you can do. And that's
Right.
a lot of the problem I see with divorce. Like with my friends, I'm like, you're expecting him to be you, but he's a different person.
That's right.
And he's doing this, this, and this. It's not like he's not doing anything. And then when I point it out, and they're like, and then sometimes they'll work it out and sometimes they won't. But it's like, it's not always one person. We're not all made to do the same thing.
Right.
And I'm not saying like men shouldn't be doing it or women shouldn't. I know women whose husbands are better at parenting than they
Mhm.
are with the babies and stuff, So
Yeah.
it's like, you have to work on each other's strengths and things, but not expect everybody. I think right now there's this movement where everybody's the same. We can all do the same thing. We can all, and that's just never going to be true.
That's not
It's
true.
just never going to be true.
No. Mm-mm. I
Not
don't
ever
even think it should be aspirational. I don't even think we should want it to be true. I think that
No, I
diversity
want to
is
be
a
a woman.
strength.
I want women to be women, men to be men. We
I
can
think
still
that
mix and match.
each individual, there's no one size fits all. Every individual is unique and brings weaknesses and strengths. And that's why, for children to be exposed to more than one person is a really great thing. For all of us to be exposed to people outside of our family, outside of our culture,
Yes.
people who disagree with us, so that we can either refine and hone in on our belief system that we already have, or expand it or alter it. That's a very healthy thing.
Well,
Yeah.
and LindaRose, let's answer like one of the questions that we had was, do you feel like you were raised to believe like you can have aspirations and you can do anything and to have goals and lofty goals and to think beyond the goals you think you can do? How do
Yeah.
you feel like being a woman? Do you feel empowered to do all those things?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a great environment. I had you, I had Pappy, I had my dad. I had my grandmother Kathy. I was in like, I grew up in I'm very lucky that I grew up in such a welcoming home, and I always was welcome to do what I wanted. I was always supported. Like, my dad would never ever choose my outfits for me, even when I was a baby. He'd have me crawl to the like shirt that I was drawn to. He's like, everyone around me has always encouraged me to do what I want. That's why like I'm doing field hockey for the first time. this season. Like, there's so many things. I'm doing new things every day, every month, every year. I'm doing something new, and I've never felt like I've had to hide from that. I've always felt super supported on that, and I'm extremely lucky for that. I know people that don't have that very welcoming home and that don't have that freedom that I have, which is why I'm so extremely lucky that I have it.
Yep.
But luckily there is more of that freedom. Like my dad, I'm very, very open with my dad. Like I said, he knows about my period. Like my dad knows everything about me. Very, very open with my dad. So
I'm thinking of my husband
And
too.
it's funny
because-
because my husband's the same way. She can talk to my husband about anything. David,
Yeah,
which is her grandfather. She can.
yeah, Pappy, which is what I call them because I have MM and Pappy. Actually, when I went to the middle school where we live, he brought tampons to the school for me because I forgot my home. So I've always felt like the men in my life, they're
They
really
should have dispensaries in the high
That's
school.
what I'm saying. And my
They
middle school
don't?
last year, like we literally signed a petition for it, like that we should have like a thing in the bathroom because like some girls,
Dispensary,
I
yeah.
mean, like I don't care. I'll go in the nurse's office and grab a tampon. I don't care. But some girls do. So it's like I feel like we should have like a little box or something in the
Yeah.
like bathroom that just has tampons and pads.
And
because,
I think diaper dispensaries, Mom, right? My
yes,
mom had an idea. She wanted to do diaper dispensaries in the malls, shopping malls.
Yeah, why not?
that's
Yeah.
literally such a good idea. And also, in my opinion, there should be baby changing spots in the men's bathroom. Just saying, because there's not.
Oh yeah,
another
yeah.
thing.
Now they're
That's
starting to have the family
changing
ones. They have the
tables, yeah.
family one, the
They're
family
starting
room.
to have, yeah.
I'm just saying, like in the big stall in the women's bathroom, there's like the changing spot for a baby. They should have those in the men's bathroom too. Like
Yeah.
that
A
should
lot
be a
of-
thing.
Yeah, unless they have a
places
family
now.
room. Sometimes you got to wait for the family room. Even at the
But
YMCA,
you know what's
they
funny?
got a
We
family
talk
room.
about women's rights and we are a million years behind. I understand that. But we also, in some ways, men have little power with certain things, which is like, so I had no problem and nobody looked at me twice if I brought my son into the women's bathroom.
Right.
But if my
Right.
husband took my daughter into the men's bathroom,
Yeah, that gets
he
weird.
was treated like it was, like he was a
It gets
pedophile
weird
or
because they have the
something. You know, what are you
urinal
bringing
that's
your
like in the
daughter in here?
corner.
But
They
what are
have
you
the,
supposed to
so
do when
you're walking
shopping
your
with your
kids in there, and
child?
there's a urinal in the corner, and the
But what
junk's
are you
out.
supposed to do? What are you supposed to do?
You got to man up and be a father, I guess.
You
Yeah,
got to
like-
take them in. What are you
Like
going to do?
just
You can't send
just
them in
tell
by
them not to
themselves
look
to the
over
bathroom.
there. That person's having private space.
But that's changing, right? Like you said, they're making
Yeah.
family bathrooms. The urinals are starting now. Newer bathrooms don't have the urinals out; they're installed. So it's changing.
I
But
I
I'm
like
saying,
the
like, men
idea of a
weren't
family
empowered to
bathroom. I
do
think
the
a family
things.
bathroom is good because at home, what do you have? A family bathroom at home, right? So if you want to make people feel comfortable, family bathroom. But they always
Well-
smell. Like they need to filter the
Yes.
air better or something. They always smell.
Like I know, like I remember my dad, like he'd always have. We'd have a blindfold in the car because my dad's a single dad. So like when my dad has to go to the bathroom, he's not about to leave his 3-year-old kid just standing at the Walmart in front of the
Yeah.
bathroom. So I'd have a little blindfold. I got to decorate it and everything, and I'd wear it every time we go in there. And my dad would put me in a jacket, and he just like I just sit there and I just like I have my eyes closed under the blindfold. I don't know why, but I always have my eyes closed because my dad told me to close your eyes. So I always kept my eyes closed under the blindfold, and he'd have to take me into the bathroom with him. Which like he got weird looks. And I was like, "What do you want him to do? Just leave me outside?"
Yeah, you
Like-
can't. No.
Oh,
Like,
you mean like
that
when
would
he had to go to the
be-
bathroom?
That would be
Right, like, if he's
dangerous.
gonna-
That would be
that's what I'm
awful.
saying.
Yeah.
So we
Like-
don't.
Well, I would have the same experience with my son. You know, when he was too old to go in the bathroom with me, and he'd want to be using the men's room, and I'd be terrified. I'd be timing it, and I would be looking for
My
the
mom's
husband
standing
that I
outside,
could send in there.
standing outside the men's room.
So
Where is
that's
he?
what I'm-
Where is he?
That's what I
Oh,
mean when
yeah.
I say we want men to do more things and step up and do some of the things women do, but we forget they don't have the tools. There are
Yeah.
a lot of tools they don't have yet that we have, like changing the baby. Where's he going to change the baby? There's no changing table in most men's rooms.
Yeah.
So what's he gonna lay him on the floor? Ew, you know, like
Yeah, and I think it depends on the venue because, like, you know, like the bar down the street doesn't need to have a changing table for babies. You know what I mean?
right.
And the bathroom can be unisex. It could be sometimes most bars have one bathroom, but if it's a family place, then you got to accommodate the family, whatever they are.
The other
Yeah.
thing that's funny
They got
that I
kids. Got to
is
accommodate the kids.
when you were asking about talking about different topics and stuff, you know, I didn't see my parents. I knew my parents loved each other, but I didn't see them kiss until my wedding day. Like you just didn't do it, right? Not in front of the children. There was no like it wasn't it just wasn't the norm. And so of course we didn't discuss sex and stuff. Like it just wasn't talked about. It wasn't a topic. It didn't happen. It wasn't like today. But what's funny is listening to millennials and stuff and I hear people Gen X and boomers say, especially Gen X, "Oh my God, that song is disgusting." And I'm thinking, hello. We grew up with The Stroke, OPP, Cocaine, Tupac, Biggie. Like, don't even judge their music, right?
See? Like here's the
NWA.
thing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
don't
go
judge.
around like my generation. I wouldn't go around saying that you learned that you listen to the band The Stroke. I'm just saying.
Well, it wasn't a band. It was a song. That's why I phrased it.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say I would not go around just saying that around my generation because you would get some nasty.
What do you mean? The
looks.
Stroke? The Stroke? You mean like
Talking about the song. I was talking about the song. Like,
Stroke Man?
Yeah.
Stroke.
Yeah, I
That
wouldn't go
one?
around singing that. Near
Is that the one you're talking about? Is that Billy Squire? I think that's Billy Squire.
Yeah. So go ahead.
That's
What'd you say?
like I just wouldn't go around saying that around my generation. We're not exactly the most clean generation ever. Our word, like me and Emma talk about this all the time, like the slang
But
that.
the songs we're talking about, LindaRose, we're talking about sex. Like if we sang
Yeah.
these songs.
Have you heard my generation songs?
Oh, yeah, I do. Every time
No, tell us.
it's bad.
You're our teacher tonight. You're teaching us tonight.
Yeah, you got Waffles and Pancakes by Cardi B, which is actually WAP, but you know.
You guys have WAP, which is wet.
Another WAP song came
We
out.
had
Are you kidding me?
OPP, which was other people's
Property.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Like you
property.
got,
Look it
we
up.
got some
It was not property.
nasty songs.
Yeah.
Like the slang that we use makes no sense at all. Like what I was talking about earlier when I was I say I was dying of coughing. That's a minor inconvenience. I had like maybe 3 coughs. But like any minor inconvenience and you say you're dying. That's my generation. And it could be you could like trip. You could still land on your feet. Don't even face plant. You could just slightly trip and you go, "Oh my God, I'm dying."
Far out.
That's like literally I say that all the time. Like it's my slang. And then you got like dot. You have dot, which is just like if someone says something really awkward, you just say dot. Because like in that awkward moment, it's just silent. You just break the silence by saying dot. And then you have like slay and queen.
My daughter's gonna be mad that you're giving me the deets right now.
Oh,
I'm getting the
no,
tea.
no,
You're
to
still
get
in
all
the
my
tea
lingo.
right now.
The
If my
best
daughter
thing you
hears
can
us,
say-
she's gonna be mad that I'm learning this.
No, you go up to your daughter. The best thing you can say is that she says something. She's like, "I got 100 on my test." You already say, "Slay queen." That's the best thing you can say to make your daughter so mad. My dad does it to me all the time. It pisses me off. But yeah.
Wait, side queen?
You say slay queen. Like you slay a dragon. You say slay
or
queen.
dot. I go dot.
Yeah.
Dot
like,
this.
Dots.
Like you say everything like
talk to the hand.
like we do. Talk to the hand because the fist is pissed.
I like that one. I
The
like
fist
that
is
one.
hand because the
Talk
fist
to the
is
hand because
pissed.
the fist is pissed. I like
Oh my
that
gosh,
one.
that's a good one.
And then you have like UGLY. You ain't got no alibi. You ugly. Hey, you ugly.
Oh, I remember that.
I have so many of those that I just know them. I just like have them.
Mary Mac. Did you ever learn Miss Mary Mac? You know Miss Mary Mac?
Yeah,
Miss Mary Mac, all dressed in black. Yeah, Emma would not let me go a day without learning that.
Mom, you remember? Miss
Oh, yeah.
Mary Mac.
The song that doesn't end.
Elephants,
Yeah.
elephants jumped
This
over
is
the fence.
And then the little sock puppet. Who was
Just
that?
goes
And then
on
you have
and
like
on. Yeah.
We have
You
like
know, talking about
lemonade, crunchy ice, and then you go sip it once, sip it twice. Lemonade, crunchy ice, sip it once, sip it twice. Turn around, touch the ground, cook your boyfriend out of town. We have
Oh, I
that.
love that. I love
yeah.
that. Never heard that. That's a
We
new
used to
one.
do them jumping rope too, and then you had
Yeah,
to sing it,
and then
and then
Oh yeah.
yeah, you have like avocados. Like avocado is the name of the game. Whoever messes up gets a brand new name, and then you go around singing the ABCs. And if you mess up, the person that messes up the letter that you messed up on, they have to have a name. Like you pick a name that starts with that letter, and then that's their name. So like if I messed up on B, Emma could like name me bananas or something.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And that's all that stuff is really good for brain development.
Agreed.
You know,
Um,
the large
mean like
motor
the-
in time with the, and all the timing, the rhyming, all of that. It's all language development and brain development, which is really good. But
the thing is, like, a lot of people complain about the millennials, and they're always on their phones. They need to put their phones down. Linda Rose and Lily are not millennials. I'm sorry, Gen Z. Linda Rose and Lily read more than anybody I know. Linda Rose is
Yeah.
booked. She can go through a book a day if she's like a
Wow.
rainy, snowy day. Like,
yeah. I don't see it as, I don't see it, that is the problem. I see that, we don't have
we don't
the,
want to limit it. We don't want to be the bad guy. We don't want to take their phone away or say you only get an hour on your phone, right? Like, we don't want to do that. You
no,
have to. You have to
you
parent.
have, well, yeah,
Not easy.
sometimes I think saying no is a, it's all part of a good parenting,
yeah, I
Right.
agree. And
because
like,
you're helping them to learn how to self-regulate their
yeah,
emotions
Balance a
and dealing
schedule and
with
time.
that.
and-
my dad does what we
Hold
call compromises.
on.
Because when I was a kid, hearing the word no was, I didn't like it. And we realized he'd be like, I'll ask, because like I used to have a phone limit. Like I used to get my phone like a certain amount of time when I was younger, because if I was like 3 years old, I'd be on it all day if I could. And he'd be like, well, you already went past your time limit today, but if you want your phone at the end of the night, you have to do your chores first. And then I'd go over and like run over and do my chores like as fast as I could, and then get my phone for like an hour, or his phone technically. So it was like, there's something going around right now called gentle parenting, which I don't
Mhm.
very much. Like when I have kids, I'm gonna do what my dad did to me, which is compromises. Because I feel like with a kid, that's what works best. Because then they learn that if they do something good, like no, like I love this thing, like no good deed goes like, or something.
Punished.
Yeah, that whatever.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
Like if your dad like compromises with you, right? And they say you'll get this if you do this, but you get it first and you don't do what you did. Like what's the point? Like
Mhm.
that's just gonna hurt you in the long run. So
Well, I like logical consequences.
yeah.
So if you don't do it, then I that won't work the next time because you didn't do it. So now
Mhm.
you got to do it first.
Yeah. So
Right?
it's like,
So it's not a punishment, but it's a logical consequence of that behavior.
Yeah, we are big with Linda Rose on.
But getting back to language, I think
say,
so.
right? You gotta mean what you say. Don't threaten. They're not stupid. Kids are not stupid.
no.
They're
No.
brilliant and they're constantly learning. So when you're like telling them, "Oh, if you don't do this, you're not going to Disney next week with us," when you know damn well they're going to Disney.
Yeah, that never works on me.
Why
Yeah,
say
no,
it?
you have
Like, we would never do that. We just don't
Like
do
you
that.
paid for my ticket, you're not just gonna like call up.
Yeah.
You paid for my ticket, you're not gonna call my best friend and be like, "Hey, you want to go?"
Not to mention that punishment doesn't fit the crime of not doing the dishes.
Right.
You're gonna miss out on this family vacation. But people do that, and I'm like, why do you do that? Why do
You
you do
My
that?
mom used to
400
threaten to take away my stereo and my hair dryer.
Yeah, I used to have that stuff
The
taken
hand
She
away.
dryer
refused to
was
buy
Aunt
me any
Valerie's
hairspray.
idea.
She said,
Aunt
I'm not
Valerie would
buying you
say,
hairspray. If you want hairspray, you got to get a job and buy your own hairspray.
Aunt Valerie would say, take the blow dryer away. So, oh, that's a big one. Take the blow dryer.
Yeah.
Just
Oh.
take it away.
She would threaten to take my music away because I used to just sometimes like I would just sit there and listen to heavy metal on vinyl in my room by
I
myself
love that.
because
But we wonder,
I didn't have siblings until because she didn't have babies until I was like already a teenager when she had babies. So I
See,
was
Sandy,
like,
you're a lot older. Yeah.
that's what we consider a queen moment. Listening to rock on your vinyl. That's what you consider a heavy metal. That's what you consider a queen moment. Like,
is that
Consider
embarrassing?
rock
Is that
not a queen
embarrassing to
moment?
you?
no,
For your
you
gen-
want to have queen moments.
Oh, you want queen moments.
you want
I'm
Like
to.
when
have
I got
myself
like when I
queen
got a
moments.
double in my softball game, that was a queen moment. Like I still,
Okay, so you want to have a queen moment. It's a good
yeah,
thing.
you want to have.
Okay. Phew. I was getting
So would it be
nervous.
cool if I just go get a Burger King crown and wear it all the time like a queen?
That would be
I've
a
done it.
dot moment.
I've done it.
That would
When I
be a
pick you up
dot.
at school, you know I'm always looking for ways to embarrass you. Could I
You
wear a
cannot
Burger
embarrass
King
me.
crown?
Me and Autumn today on
I
our way
know.
back
I
from
can't
school
anymore.
literally said hi Johnny to
Anymore.
our friend, and Pappy started screaming his name. So you cannot embarrass me.
This is how me and David parent.
I tell you, here's the thing: when you get to be my age, you can really play the old lady card and get away with a lot of stuff that you didn't before, because you could be
No,
eccentric.
can I tell LindaRose what you used to do to me? Where'd she
What?
go? We lost her.
What did I do to you?
I want to tell her what you used to do to me and Kim, my cousin Kim.
She can still hear
I
you.
only did that once, honey. You were
Well,
being silly. You were being
It's a-
embarrassed by being with me. I figured I'd play it up, show you what
well,
real
it's a-
embarrassment
it's a
was.
forever story in the family now. This is family
History.
storyline for
It's
the
the lore.
history. Someone needs to type it up and put it
Put it up there.
on
The
social
family-
media.
Family
It'll be-
book. Seal it.
I tell you, you could do a billion good things, and what they'll remember.
It's the one heart.
Right.
Well, you tortured us. We were
That's
dying.
true.
Okay, let me tell you the story. Renee's here. Okay, Renee, let me tell you the story because this needs to be told. And we're
Wait a
overtime.
minute, I was
Renee.
driving a
Renee
Dodge
came here
Dart
to
where
take
the clutch
key.
used to fall
She's
out on the road. Okay, go ahead.
Wait, Renee, where'd she go? Okay.
We're here.
Okay. I didn't know. Are we overtime? Do we need to go? Are we okay?
We'll go after this. LR had to go, and then she also had network problems, so we'll be about wrapping up. But I want to hear the story. I think that's a great way to close out is with the Sandie story. I think
Perfect.
that'd be great.
Okay. Well, I forgot what the story was. What were we talking about?
Well, you guys were being embarrassed being in the car with
Oh
me.
yeah,
'cause
the
I had
underwear's
old-
on the head. The underwear's.
Yeah, I had the old Dodge Dart, and the clutch used to fall out on the street, and you were like, oh my God, somebody will see us. And little Eddie, your cousin Eddie, had wet his pants at my house, so I had cleaned
Yes,
his
because you
pants.
used to have all the kids, you used to give Aunt Laura a break and used to watch her kids so that she could get a break because she had 5 kids and you had me. So you would let them come sleep over and then watch the kids. And then anything that the kids left at the house, when I would go back over to my aunt's house, I would bring the clothes, whatever toys or whatever things they forgot. But the one time you decided to put you were driving me and Kim home, and you did put cousin Eddie's underwears on your head, and they were like little, like training underwears, and you put them on your head, and
They were white and tighties.
me and Kim ducked to the bottom of we hit the floor. We're like, shit, what's she doing to us? We were down like shit.
I was
Okay.
teaching you not to,
We were not to be
perspective.
seen
Put
with
things in
this
perspective.
behavior.
So then we get to Ed, your Uncle Ed's house, and you guys get out of the car and you run in and you're yelling, that I wore the underpants on my head. And I went in and I said, no, I didn't. I said, Ed, do you really think I would wear boys' underpants on my head while I was driving? Oh, you guys were dying. Yeah.
Renee, are you there?
I'm here.
We're here. I want to do both on screen so I can just see your reactions up close.
I will say that my childhood was different in that my dad raced, and so I got picked up in like, Mach 1 Mustangs peeling rubber out of the driveway. That was how my dad thought he was embarrassing me.
Oh,
But
Sandy used to get mad because I was the youngest looking mother because I'm petite. And
I can
she
see
was,
that.
yeah, she was like, oh, everybody. I said, that's going to be an asset someday, honey.
Look
You're
at
going to
you
be happy
now.
about
I
that.
don't think I was mad. I don't think I was mad.
Oh, you were. You
I don't
asked
think
me to pick you up blocks away from the school.
I don't want my
Well,
friends
that's
to see
because I
you.
reached that age where everything my parents do is like embarrassing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
But I
yeah.
don't, I
Yeah.
mean, like, I know you guys used to go out of your way to embarrass me, like Em said she does to Linda.
Yeah,
She
but I
said it
can't.
doesn't
That's the
work
difference.
anymore.
Yeah,
Now it
you
doesn't
Linda
know,
work.
Rose is
it's
Linda Rose is
entertaining.
so unembarrassable. I'm gonna
You
make
know
up
what?
that phrase
Love
right
it.
Tom
now.
and Meg got a
Rose is
lot worse than
unembarrassable.
Sandy did because
No, I
I
don't
got a
think
lot
so.
more
I do
creative.
not think so.
That
No.
was you learned.
Yeah. Oh,
She
yeah.
learned what to do.
I would go to the mall, and here's like, when you get older, you can do this. I would go like into the Gap, and I would stand in the window and let the snow fall on my hair and pretend I was a mannequin.
Like, you're like
I can
this.
totally picture this. I can totally
Like,
picture this happening.
Yeah.
And lucky for us, we didn't have cameras to take video of all this. Linda Rose is
well,
like, I'm totally putting this on TikTok. So you
seat
don't be
belts were not
embarrassing yourself.
mandatory, Em.
No, I held
Yeah.
my brother on his way home from the hospital in the back. No seatbelt in my
Seat belts were
legs.
not mandatory. We grew up in a different time.
I still stick my arm out.
Yeah, I do too.
Your
Right?
hands
Yeah.
for the
You
fresh air. For the fresh
got to
air.
step on the brake. You put your arm out for the passenger.
Once you're a
Yeah.
mom, you're a mom. It doesn't, I don't
Like
even know if
that's
you have
going
to
to
be a
keep them.
mom. Once you're an adult, anybody that's around kids at any point in their life has that protective thought about them.
Oh,
When I-
my mom had the automatic seat belt. So anytime she had to stop short, her hand would come across
Oh,
and
yeah.
she would protect me with the automatic seat belt. Did you ever
Mhm.
do that, Em, with your kids?
No,
Stopping
my
short.
kids had
Yeah.
to be in the back seat. My kids
I
couldn't
still
be in the
do it.
front seat by the time I had my
I did it
The
to my
automatic
son the other
seat
day.
By the time I had my kids, they had to be in car seats, so they were in the back.
Mm.
Okay, yeah, we didn't have that
Yeah.
growing up. My mom was like,
No,
"I'll
we didn't do
protect
that.
you." She put her hand out.
No, we used to ride in the back of the pickup truck.
Oh, really?
Remember the
I had
station?
the station wagon.
Wagons that had the rumble
Oh, I
seat in the
love that.
back?
Yeah,
that
the rumble
faced
seat.
backwards?
Yeah.
yeah.
Of course.
There were 6 kids, right? I was the oldest. I had 4 younger brothers. And my mother would be driving, and one of the kids would say, they'd make somebody lay down in the car on the floor, like the youngest one or the second to the youngest one.
Yeah,
And
who's
they
gonna
yell.
not get a seat in the car? You lay
No,
down
they
in
yell
the
at grandma, he fell out. Oh my gosh, Kevin fell out. And my mother would jam on the brakes.
Oh my
Everybody would start
God.
laughing. I said to her,
right.
why do you always fall for this?
Did
She's because
anybody
this
go
time it
to
could
the
be true.
Did you guys have drive-ins because they were paid by the person, and we used to hide in the trunk?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
We'd
then
have
you
a
get out.
car with like 12 teenagers and only pay for 4 because everybody was like under the seat and in the back, and they were sitting on one. And
We used to do that with the movie
Mouth
theater,
talk.
Mhm.
Somebody we would go, 2 people would pay, and then we would distract the lady with the flashlight,
Yeah, oh yeah.
and we'd open the back door, and 4 or 5 could come in. So then we had money for candy.
Yeah. That's how you paid for your snacks, people, because mom and dad weren't giving it to you.
We were creative.
It's fun times.
Hmm.
There's so many things. We could talk for days. Linda Rose said she couldn't get back on. Tell everybody I said
Wow.
goodbye. Please.
Yeah, that's what I
And
texted
she
her and I
said-
told her that we're good. We can always do another
She said,
version of this.
please to be continued.
Yeah, I have so many things that now I'm thinking about that I'm like, man, I should have talked about that or whatever. But
Even politics, we did not discuss politics.
like,
I
yeah,
told you,
that's a whole.
you'd be lucky.
Well,
if I could
Ray,
tell
what
you who
about
the
your mom?
president
Will
was
your
when I
mom
was
come
a
on with
kid.
us? Will
No,
she do? Does she shy?
She's like really shy, but like about
Nice.
being like on film, but maybe I can get her to come on audio, which is like ridiculous because she does it for TV stations. I don't know. I'm like, Mom, I have a TV station that you could be on. She goes on PBS and she goes on Huffington Post and like, but
Oh, really?
she won't come here. Yeah,
And
she
she
won't.
won't come there.
I don't know why. Yeah, she's a famous psychologist. So she's on, she's a
Okay.
contributor on Psychology Today. She's a professor. She's a researcher.
Oh, wow.
But
Nice.
she's interviewed all the time. Like if you Google her, she's constantly being interviewed by all the top, New York Times, everything, Oprah magazine and all that, Dr. Oz, all that.
That's awesome.
But she
And that,
Yeah.
actually, if she
won't
would
come
come
on
on,
here.
or maybe we could get somebody to come on to talk about the
Well, that's
therapy side of
cool.
it. Because the other thing with
I would love
generations
to meet her.
fashion, the
Rose.
generation before them
Mhm.
is
Thank you.
like Patty's generation, you didn't talk about nothing. It
Right.
didn't happen. That's your Uncle Jerry. I don't want to hear that from you again. I don't believe, right? Like you did not discuss these things. And then my
Mhm.
generation started to change, but we still didn't get any justice or any closure, and we still had to be around these people.
Well,
See,
I
that's
was the
a
first.
show. That's a show we should do a whole show on
That's what I'm
because
saying. And so
yeah,
when
that's a
the
whole
other
thing.
generations knock, like I believed my children, and my children came to me and talked to me, they would be millennials. Look at LindaRose. LindaRose is the first one to stand up and speak her voice because
Yeah.
we've created
Right.
that platform and that space. But we can't bash the generation before us because millennials don't know what it's like to grow up in that atmosphere and have the same things that happened to them happen to us, but we never got therapy. We never could talk about it. We never had anybody. We were told to not mention it. And that
Right.
we still had to go to the Christmas party with Uncle Billy or whoever, right? Like, so it's not a light switch, right? And so
Yeah, I
we
think my
really need to
generation,
understand other generations rather than
my generation might have been the first one that started seeing psychiatrists and psychologists and social workers. I know I had a social worker that really changed my life.
yeah. And about how old were you?
23.
Yeah. So as a child though, right? Like you didn't, yeah.
Oh, no, not as a child.
No, we didn't either. I didn't even have school counselors.
No, they
We
was
had
Yeah,
a,
we
this is,
did.
I'm old enough that I had a smoking room in high school. Okay. I'm older than Google.
Oh, they used to do it out the bathroom window in my high school.
No, we had a smoking room.
wow.
So
Yeah, no, we
Oh,
got
we just
told
have
if
to
we didn't
understand
behave,
each
they'd give
other.
us away. We'd go to the orphanage. They drive you by and show it to you.
My dad, we had
And
we
sometimes
actually
you
had
wish
an
you could go
orphanage.
there. You were like, oh, maybe that's a better
Renee,
option.
When you're in
we
trouble,
have
you don't want to
we
tell
have
the
the
truth. Like you're dying to go home because you know you're about to get in major trouble, and you're thinking, maybe I should just go to that orphanage. I don't want to tell my dad. I don't want to tell
We
my
never
mom.
wanted to go home. No, so much
John
better out.
Duncan's watching from YouTube. Hi, John.
Hi, John. Hi.
Hi, John.
Moon and
Before
stars.
before we go, I want to do a quick little promo for tomorrow's journeys
Yes. So
coming
tomorrow
up.
night at 8, is it? That's the first
Yep,
one at 8, right?
8
Okay. So
o'clock.
tomorrow night at 8 o'clock on Cosmos, we are interviewing Susie Matacola. She has a big long story, but we're going to focus on the fact that in April, her dad was killed in a hit and run in California, and they're searching for the person that did it. So basically, the topic is grief without closure. She's going to talk about that and what it's like going through that,
Wow.
and what the process of what they're trying to do now. And there's a whole backstory with her and her dad that goes with that. So it'll be really good, really good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be really powerful.
We can
And then,
maybe make a difference. Somebody might have information.
yeah,
you know?
someone you never know. That's why we want to do it. Just get information out there. And then Sandie, is Painting with Rory on for tonight?
No, not tonight.
Okay, so no Painting with Rory. And then when is Getting Salty? When is the next Getting Salty?
I'm not sure yet. I'm kind of waiting for Casey Flaherty because she's in Bali, and with the
Okay.
time difference, I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I love Getting Salty, by the way. Everybody should go
I
back
do
and
too.
watch the ones on the YouTube that
I
are
do
always
That's
too.
my
there.
girl
I
over
love it.
there.
It's
She's
just
like,
a really great show, and I'm not even a
she's surfing every day with
I
she's got the
know.
barnacles in her feet. I feel so bad for her. I want to go put like, aloe vera all
Yeah, I
over
was just
her.
gonna say,
Yeah,
she was
it's
talking about her
really
feet. I was like, oh, poor girl.
yep. I
My
love it.
poor
And then
girl.
of course Patti has her own show, Crafting with Patti, and
Yes.
that's once a month, correct? So the next
Yeah.
one is at the end of when is the next
The
one?
beginning, it's the
It's the
first
first
Friday of the month.
every month.
So dark.
Yeah.
First Friday of the month. I love it for some. It's just
too.
so
I
calming,
do
and I
too.
learn stuff. I'm not crafty either. Like I'm not a crafty person, and I'm not
I'm
a
not
surfing
either.
person,
She
but I just like
teaches me.
watching the shows and like learn stuff. And
But there's something about watching a show where
Mhm.
the host loves what they're talking about.
yeah, very passionate and very
Ah.
'Cause
knowledgeable.
Sandy doing salty is totally different than Sandy doing no
I
icing.
know. When I watched
You can
Totally.
Sandy,
tell
I was
you're
like,
passionate about it, like
it's
really
a whole
passionate.
different language that she
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah.
Surfing is a whole language. It's, yeah.
And culture too, like they talk about the different locations and the local cultures, like the,
And
even
she's
the
totally
religion in
knowledgeable
Bali
about
and
it and all these
food.
places. She's like,
Yeah.
"Did you ever go down that path in Bali? You
I
know,
know.
on the
I
left
remember.
is
I
this
love
big
that
pine
part.
tree is like, is that big
I'm
rock
I'm
still there?"
living vicariously through Casey right now because when I was younger, Mom, that was me. I ditched school. I was in college. I got my associate's degree and I went surfing. I was like, that's it. I'm gonna do this. And I just saved up. I paid my bills, but I saved up with anything extra. I saved up to go on surf trips. I had no kids. When you have kids, everything changes. But
When 9/11 happened, you grabbed your surfboard and went into the Pacific.
I did. I said if we're gonna get hit because we have the Silver Strand over here, I said if we're gonna get attacked, I'm gonna die surfing. Like I'll be happy. Like let me die like that, doing something I love.
Yeah, I was always worried about you getting eaten by a shark or a jellyfish attack or,
Yeah.
Isn't
Um,
it
Well,
funny?
I worry about you now. See, now the tides change now. I worry
That's a
about
whole
you
other
over
talk
there.
right there, Renee, talking about living and growing up and living in different areas too.
yep, that's
That's a
right.
whole, because like
yeah,
sharks and stuff, we never,
Yeah, never had to worry about that.
now they do more,
no.
but
In New York, it was the bodies from the mafia.
like,
Mm,
Yes. I wasn't allowed to go to the beach as a kid. The
yeah,
beaches were bad. There was bad
we hung out
things.
down at the beach when I was a
We were
teenager.
not allowed to go to the beach when I was a kid.
Trilby
Yeah.
keeps asking. Trilby is asking what night is Getting
Hi,
Salty
Trilby.
on.
Oh, I don't know. We're doing pop up because I'm working with Casey, who's in Bali right now. We have the time difference, so we're doing pop up on that. But I am working on a show on no icing with John Duncan and David William Myers and Jocelyn Marks coming up June. Let's see. It'll be June 23rd in America, but it'll be June 24th in Australia, and this is going to be the Australian edition.
That's going to be really exciting. And remember, everybody, just go to the YouTube, Cosmos Creative TV YouTube, and watch all the content is there. The first Getting Salties are up there already. Crafting with Patti is up there. You can just go in and dive in. The Ukraine, there was a special that Sandy did.
Oh, that was great.
That was
Yeah.
a really, really good, great
really
job,
good.
Sandy,
Go
on that.
back and watch that
Excellent
from about a
job on
week
that.
ago. Just hang out in the on the YouTube and
And what
comment.
about Dennis's? Did he let the interview you told me about last night out yet? Because a lot of people really liked him.
Oh, said yes. So so I want everyone to go. Thank you. And I just made an announcement on Cosmos like a few minutes ago when I was offline, but thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, I'm going to let me put up a banner. So everyone also head over to Tardon Media on YouTube and check out first of all of the Orchid Times are there, all of the reasonably spontaneous conversations, all kinds of really cool content. But he interviewed on Monday and it just got posted like yesterday, I think. Cedric Da Entertainer, who does ASL, and it is like the coolest half hour ever because they're really animated with one another. They got along really well, and we got to learn all about Cedric's personal like journeys and the different things that he's into, and then more about ASL. Like they really went very deep into how humans communicate with other humans. And it's just really great. So anyways, go down and make sure you hit subscribe. So if you hang out on
We have
Tardon
a
Media
lot of
YouTube,
really really, really amazing interviews coming up.
Oh yeah, there's so much great stuff
I
coming
do want to
up.
mention on Journeys, I think it's the 27th. I'll double check. We'll post the flyer again. But we
Mhm.
are going to be anybody who was there for the conversation with Natasha when we did the suicide episode. She is coming back, and we are doing an episode on escaping cults or being part of a cult.
Wow.
She will be there, and then we have Brittany, who is managed to eventually get herself out of a child marriage. And I will say this, because I didn't know this until she told me, and then I looked it up. In the United States, in most places, children can get married with their parents' permission. In some places, it's as young as 13. However, they can't get divorced until they're 18. They cannot implement a divorce until they're 18 years old.
How is that not
Because
child
they're
abuse? How is that not
because
textbook child abuse?
how is this not like archaic?
Mhm.
Here's the ruling: because they're underage, they're now under their husband, right? Because they're no longer under their parents; they're married
Who's
to
their
their husband.
abuser?
The
Who is their abuser?
Yeah,
Yes.
if he's a grown man and a 13,
And
14.
and in preparation for this Journeys that's coming up, Em and I watched. There's a docu-series on Netflix called "Keep Sweet, Obey, Pray,"
Yeah,
and
it was heavy.
it's all about the FLDS, which one of our guests is from the FLDS with Warren Jeffs. A lot of people remember Warren Jeffs. He's serving time
That's her.
now.
That's actually her uncle, and the prophet James was her grandfather.
Right.
Wow.
And so she grew up in that sect. I mean, that sect did not have the internet. It didn't have the television. It was all clamped down. So people didn't know that there was an outside world. They were told that, if you leave, it's just hell out there. So they were doing anything, and it was all these child marriages. It's just child abuse. They're calling them marriages. This is not they're 12-year-olds.
They call them marriage, but they're not legal because, they can marry them legally, but the FLDS is polygamous, which is illegal. So what
Right.
happens is they can be married to their first wife. Every wife after that is no longer legal.
Right.
They don't, But that's what's really weird about cults, and it's hard to wrap your brain around unless you're there, is they believe them, everything they're telling them, and how good they are, and how everything is wonderful, and they have to do it this way. This is how God wants it. But they blatantly break laws and
the great thing is
child protection and stuff, and these people don't understand. They don't because they were so isolated.
Cult leaders are always hypocritical. I mean, Osama bin Laden was surrounded with all of this stuff that he didn't.
Look at Jeffrey
Warren Jeffs,
when they found him, he had gone to Disneyland, Mardi Gras, was partying at casinos,
was wearing
was at
different
strip
clothing than he
clubs.
was allowing his people to wear. They're all hypocrites. They're just out to get money. They were sending Warren Jeffs back. This is 15 years ago, $300,000 a week to be on the run from just his people's pockets. They were each expected to give that kind of money. It's really awful. Yeah.
And they own like multi-million-dollar businesses, but they don't own it. The church does. They sign everything to the church.
Child traffickers, because they have the boys doing labor. The underage boys are all doing labor. It's like free labor. And then all the girls are sex slaves. So it's just.
So we are going to dive deep into
We're
that.
going to go really deep into
more than one episode, because we are now looking at a couple other guests that were in similar cults or different cults. So it'll be a powerful episode.
That will be very, very powerful. So anyways, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm going to run a replay of one of our shows a little bit later tonight, so you can check that out. And again, tomorrow, 8 p.m. And we also have Big Monster Briefing Room tomorrow.
Oh, and Renee, also, you and Rory are going to be on Pan's show coming up.
Oh, that's right. We have improv night on Pan's. We have improv night on Pan's channel. Yeah, that is going to be very fun.
So if you're not following Pan, go follow Pan. Yeah,
check out Up Close on the Mic, that group. One of our sister groups, SDF, and there's KMH. There's a great community out here. But anyways, thank you so much. And thank you to LR. I know Yes, thank you to LR for coming as well. We had 4 different generations represented, and I certainly learned a lot. So thank you everybody for being here and for
Bye,
tuning
Bye,
in.
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.